what are you going to do about the $1,000 you just charged me to put a clutch in that I didn't need? They told him, well, we're not going to do anything about that, and you're going to pay the $1,000, and we can fix your transmission. He said, pack the stuff up. He loaded it and brought it to me, and now, of course, Dealer Debacle. Dealer Debacle. That is the perfect name for this episode. And why would you say that? Well, I have a hell of a story for you. And it goes a little something like this. Behind me is a 2022 Road Glide. Nice bike. Recently, I had just put a clutch in it. The customer came to me. He said, Bill, will you put a clutch in my bike? Sure. Didn't tell me he needed one or why. Brought me the parts. Screaming Eagle 10-plate clutch. Put it in, checked out the basket, everything looked good. You have those small little wear lines inside the basket, totally normal, not a big deal. Send the customer down the road. Prior to that, I told him he needed a new rear tire. And I found it odd that he didn't want me to replace it. Come to find out, when he had called me on the phone, he had taken to his original Harley dealer, and he had that Tire for Life program, whatever he's got going there. So we went there to get a tire, and he said, hey, by the way, could you check out my clutch? And they said, oh yeah, they took it apart and said, you need a new clutch. And he said, well, my guy just put a new clutch in. I brought him the plates. I asked him to put a new clutch in. Oh, but you see these little lines in the clutch? We call customer service, and that's your problem. Now, he never told me he was having a problem. He just said he wanted a new clutch. They put a clutch in, charged him $1,000. He takes the bike out of the parking lot, and he's pretty hard on the bike. This thing's pushing 135 horse. That's why the first time I ever met him, we dynoed it here. Probably 135 and 142 or so in torque. Takes it down the road, doesn't get a third of a mile, brings it back, said, hey, I'm still having the same issue. The clutch is slipping. So in the meantime, he calls me, and he said, Bill, these guys at the Harley dealer are trying to throw you under the bus, saying you should have replaced the clutch basket and the bearing. I said, the bearing? I said, well, I gave you a brand new bearing. I said, the bearing I had I put a new one in for you. And I said, there's nothing wrong with your clutch basket. A little bit of wear. I said, if you were changing those, you'd be changing clutch baskets every 20,000 miles. That's a joke. They're not hanging up the plates. It's not an issue. He said, well, what do you think's wrong with my bike? I said, well, what's it doing? He said, well, when I get on it really hard, it slips. I said, is it just doing it in third and fourth gear? He said, yeah. I said, you need a transmission. It's not your clutch. And he goes, well, I never asked you to diagnose it, which I didn't. I just put the clutch in as he asked me to do. So he brings that to the dealer's attention. So they tear the transmission out. They said, oh, yeah, you do. You need a new transmission. He said, okay, well, what are you going to do about the $1,000 you just charged me to put a clutch in that I didn't need? They told him, well, we're not going to do anything about that, and you're going to pay the $1,000, and we can fix your transmission. He said, pack the stuff up. He loaded it and brought it to me, and now, of course, hence the new Baker Grudge Box that's sitting here that we'll be putting in. First of all, why would a dealer not take care of the customer? You know, all these dealers, I'm a former dealer. I don't like to bash dealers. This is one of those dealers that is owned by a big conglomerate. They own like 45 or 50 dealers now. They're going around the country and buying them up. Back when I was a dealer, you could have one dealership. One. The motor company would allow you to have an ARO or what's called a satellite store or alternative retail outlet. That's it. And then the guy down in Daytona, his name Bruce Rossmeyer, he's the one that really started this craze of getting multi-line dealers going. And he had the car dealership mentality because I think he was, and I could be wrong, but I think he was like a former Dodge dealer or whatever. And that's when all this started happening back in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s. Now you can own 50, 60, probably 100 dealerships if you have enough money and enough people behind you. There's no customer service. It's sad. It's not like down the road here I have Buddy Stubbs, family-owned dealership. If I want to go talk to one of the sons, I can probably go down and talk to him right now if he's in. You can't do that with any of these dealerships. You got Scottsdale Harley, who's owned by Bob Parsons. He owns multiple stores now. Go AZ, Coulter Cadillac Group, They may have just sold, I think they did sell for like billions of dollars. And now they may have still a small stake in some of these dealerships. I'm not really sure, but that's what's going on. Plus, every dealership I've ever known, even my own, you have a slush fund. You may have $10,000 put aside. You may have $5,000. You may have $100,000, depending on how big your dealership is. I don't know. For a situation like this, customer comes in, has an issue with his bike. You may say, you know what, I'm not going to cover the part, but you will cover the labor, or vice versa. Do something for the customer. They would have kept the customer, but they didn't do that because the customer service at some of these large dealerships is awful. You have a manager that's running the show. You have managers above him. The chain of command is, I don't even know how you would get to the top guy. You probably never could. They just don't seem to care. The right way it should have been handled, if it was my dealership, I would have said, you know what, my technician made a mistake, we're going to eat the clutch, and we're going to upsell you a new transmission. That would have been the right thing to do. Take the $1,000, put it towards the transmission job, you'd have a happy customer, and you'd still have the customer. Instead of the customer being at Motorcycle Garage, having me put a new transmission in, and it's a customer that's never coming back to you. This is what's going on today at these dealerships. And I you know, I'm a former dealer. I have great respect for dealers. I work with dealers all the time in my forensics business. I have great respect for dealers. But some of the decisions that are made by the management is just, it's awful. I feel bad for the customer. I would say I feel bad for upper management, but either they don't know or they don't care. They're just so big and they make so much money. You know, it's funny, I had a conversation, and I can't mention his name because I'm not supposed to, but I actually work on one of the former presidents of Harley-Davidson's motorcycles. Matter of fact, I just got a really nice email from him. I shipped the bike out to Milwaukee. He rode it around for the 120th. The last time he had been there was the 100th anniversary. He even rode the same bike, actually. Was talking to Willie G, and had told him about me and everything I've done for him and on his vehicle, and now Willie is actually sending me 2 bikes out of his collection, so I'm told. That's pretty nice. So kudos to me, I guess. But anyway, we had a conversation about the current climate, maybe at the motor company. You know, I have an old East Coast saying, the fish rots from the head back. I didn't coin that phrase, but so if you got terrible management, you know, everything runs downhill, so it's a problem. That's one thing here in my shop. You deal with me, no matter what, because I do it all alone. This is why you ask why I don't hire help. I get this all the time. I am booked out right now. I'm probably 6-7 weeks out. Sometimes I get up to 3 months out at a time. It's difficult to get good help. They don't want to show up. They want top pay. I hired a kid. He was here probably 3 months, and he was serious as a heart attack when he said this to me. He said, I want my name over the door in a year. I said, what do you mean? Because I literally want my name over the door. I want to own the place. I go, you do? You know what? You can have it, and I'll pack up my stuff and I'll go home. Let's just say he didn't last long, and it took him 3 days to put a set of custom chrome Ford controls on a Sportster, and he didn't even have those on right. So I don't know what it is, but even when I had my dealership, if you could get one good technician out of 10, you were lucky. And that's just the way it is. It's pretty sad. So I'm going to let you follow along. Let's get this unboxed. I'll get the stock transmission up on the bench. I already have the main drive gear out. I stayed last night and did that, cleaned everything up. We're going to get ready to start putting this together, and you're going to get to follow along. So let's go. All right, let's do an episode of what's in the box. Let's see. We have our destructions, paper gaskets. Oh, look at this bad boy. It's like Christmas. Oh, look at that. That's looking sweet. Nice. Shift the mechanism. Washers for that. Main drive gear snap ring. Main drive gear bearing. And we got side door bolts. Counter shaft. Full complement bearing. And a primary. All right. Well, let me go grab the stock transmission and we'll set that up here. Check out the difference. Stock Harley, Baker Grudge Box. Nice straight cut or spur gears. You notice you don't really have any play here in third gear. Look at the difference here. Look at all the movement you have here. And the shifter dog, this is where a lot of the issue comes in. The shifter dog here, once it's engaged under power, it'll actually pop out because they're wearing. The shifter dog and the pockets here on the gear are wearing. Under a high load, these transmissions just aren't holding up. These guys that are getting into the, you know, the bigger cubic inches, the more horsepower, definitely issues. If you have the money, this tends to be a weak link now. Go with the Baker setup. You know, years ago I used to do a lot of the gyms. They were a good transmission. I haven't dealt with them in a long time, more in the chopper days, but Baker, you know, I've been dealing with them for a long time now. So this is really the way to go. We're going to get this installed, and you're going to get to come along and watch, and we'll go from there. Of our Baker Grudge Box install on this 2022 Road Glide. A couple issues I've been having. You've noticed I've had to grind the case in here a little bit. I'm not getting enough protrusion through the shift shaft here so I can catch the snap ring on the primary side. I've had these issues before. These Bakers aren't always just such an easy install that some people think they are. But we'll get through it. I'm going to get my floor cleaned up because I can't deal with it. It is a Labor Day weekend. I'm going to leave here today around 3 o'clock, so this bike won't be done today because I have some other stuff going on. I want to get home and have a hot dog party with the kids, even though they're all, you know, pretty old now and in college. It says for the youngest, who's a sophomore in high school. I have this hot dog machine like we used to have at the Harley shop. My old customers remember that. Take the hot dog machine out on open houses and would have, you know, free hot dogs for guys. But call them Walt's hot dogs because my father was such a cheap bastard. He wanted to give people hot dogs. Anyway, going to get the hot dog machine out and have a little pool party today with the kids. So not going to have a full day today. And we'll get back on this probably on Monday because I never work the actual holiday itself. I'll be here working. So anyway, let's get to it. Get the bikes outside, and we'll get working on the install. September 4th, 2023, Labor Day. Of course, I'm at the shop working because when you're as busy as I am, it's kind of hard to take a day off. Plus, I'm going to miss about 9 days this week on the road with my forensics business. I got a bunch of trips coming up, working on some product liability cases, so I'm out of the shop for those days. It's kind of hard to take Monday off. So in the shop, let's get day 2 going here on our Baker Grudge Box transmission install. Everything's been pretty smooth so far. Had some issues with the shifter shaft coming through clearance-wise. We took care of that. We had to grind the inside of the training case a little bit. And other than that, I think things haven't been too bad, so going somewhat smoothly. And let's see if we can get this wrapped up today. All right, it's all together. Out with the old and new with the new. The new Baker 6-speed Grudge Box is in, and now we're going to put the final touch on here. Clean this side cover up. We've already put some cleaner on this towel. Get this nice and clean. All right, we'll get you zoomed in for this. I moved the camera back to its original position that we started this video with. Well, let's talk about the final product. We're done with our install. The dealer, if you go back to the beginning of the video and you listen to everything that happened, the dealer didn't really treat the customer correctly, in my opinion, and the customer's opinion. So we installed this Baker Grudge Box. I hope my client is going to have many, many miles of happy riding. And isn't that what this is all about, actually riding in general? You know, we started our Harley dealership back in 1975. We sold in 06. And I've worked on Harley-Davidson motorcycles since I was 13 years old. AMF was the product wasn't great. It was some rough years, actually. But they, you know, they put the money into the development of the Evolution engine, and that's one reason Harley-Davidson, when they soared alone, survived. Because of that engine, because the shovel head just wasn't cutting it. And I have some earlier videos you can go back and look at. I think one of the Evo engines I was rebuilding, I touch on the shovel heads and the piston design and the problems that they had at AMF at that time. Anyway, it's all about the Great American Freedom Machine. That was one of the ads that Harley-Davidson, AMF Harley-Davidson had back in the day, the Great American Freedom Machine. And riding is all about freedom. As I'm down here working on a Labor Day weekend, you know, it's my choice to be here. And we all enjoy the freedom in this country to do what we want, and I hope that continues for a long, long time. Motorcycling is about having fun, the freedom to do what you want, to put a smile on your face. I'm hoping that's what this transmission does for my customer for many, many miles. And with that, I will leave you with, I'm going to go home and enjoy the hot tub, maybe the pool with my wife for what's left of this Labor Day Monday. Please like and subscribe. I'll keep the content coming to you. All I have left to do on this is give it a wash, and I will have to redo the gear ratios in the ECM, but that's not a big deal. I'll knock that out tomorrow, and hopefully the customer will come pick it up probably Tuesday night. So with that, enjoy your Labor Day, and I'll see you next time on Bill on Bikes. Thanks for watching.